Ian Russell, thank you very much for joining us on the Friendly Carpers Carp Chat. Really appreciate
My pleasure
your time.
entirely.
Yep. So Dynamite Bait, Akuma, Carp Spirit.
And Carp Spirit, yeah, that's the main ones.
Under the Rapala brand.
Yes,
yeah.
yep.
Big company. Not based in Nottinghamshire.
Which is your hometown, you tell me?
My hometown, yeah, not far from where I live. So yeah. Brilliant, yeah. So I've had plenty of questions for you from the group members. So it's
Come on in.
One.
Far away.
Okay, so we'll start off with a nice easy one. Well, we'll start with a cheeky one from one of your friends. You know Xenia from Angler's Paradise.
She is so lovely. I did see one. I go on because I looked at her question.
Yeah, so she says, "Which shampoo do you use?" And I couldn't believe the cheek on
it. Same one she does.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Same one she does. Well, she's a saucy woman, but she's amazing, isn't she? Yeah. And one of the most friendly people I've ever met in my life, mate.
She is amazing, yeah. Spectre.
Yeah.
She's really nice. So who's your favourite person to go fishing with, and who would you like to go with that you haven't been with before?
Right, my favourite. Oh God, well, listen, my favourite person to go fishing with. If I say one name out of all my friends, I'm going to have about 10 of them around my house bashing the door down. I've got two people I fish with a lot, and that is my closest friends, which is brothers from another mother. It's Matthew Grover and Michael Poulter. You won't know these in the fishing world, but they've been friends of mine for years. We understand each other. We know when to leave each other alone. I'm on about banter-wise when you're on the bank. And they're excellent anglers as well, so you're bound to learn off each other. Anglers I've never fished with, who I would love to, is Neil Spooner.
Yeah.
They are. He's a good pal of mine, and he wrote this once. He was asked this question, and he also said one of his closest friends he'd like to spend a bit of time fishing with, and he said Ian Russell, because I know we'd have good fun. You know, when I see him in the bank, we always have a little cuddle and a bit of a laugh. Yeah. But I would love to have 48 hours with Neil, just having the crack and catching some fish. Lovely man, lovely family man.
There's a future guest on this as well. Hopefully I'll be speaking to him next week, so I'll tell him he said that.
Yeah, you should do, because he is a really great man. If it was someone not in the fishing world, it'd have to be Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure you don't go fishing.
No, shame into it.
Can't have it all. Can't have a Spooner will do.
Spooner will do, yeah. What's your earliest fishing memory?
Earliest fishing memory, to be honest, is probably the very first time my dad took me, and I would have been about 6 or 7. And I'll tell you why, because I was in the back of this little Morris Minor Traveller, the one with the wooden frame. This is a long time ago. I'm 63. Yeah. And my dad, after work, said he would take me and my slightly younger brother, Paul, down the River Thames at Shepperton.
Yep.
And we were driving through all these country lanes, and he had missed the road. But I blurted out, "Oh, look, that's a funny name on that road. It's called Ferry Lane." And he went, backed up, and that's where we went fishing, down on the River Thames. So it's bizarre, Dean, that small moments stick in your memories for different reasons, I'm sure. But that's and we went down the River Thames fishing with a coffin lead, a split shot, and maggots, and catching a tiny perch and tiny gudgeon. But it definitely planted a seed that turned into an oak tree.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So would that be, what would be your most memorable catch? Would it be something like that, or?
Well, it's not. You didn't ask about my most memorable capture. You asked, the trip to fishing. My most memorable capture. Wow. Do you know what? It sounds a bit ego-y, but I've had so many lovely carp that it would be difficult. I suppose my favourite fish is one I caught the other year lately. This is about 3 years ago, from Raysbury, Northlake. And it's a fish called No Name, ironically, and it was about 44 pounds, and it's an old Sutton fish. I think it was actually a Simon Scott fish he had it in a fish tank at the end of his bed, and then as it grew up, plopped it into Raysbury. But it's a big, deep, scaly fish. I saw this fish years prior to this, when Raysbury was day ticket, and it actually shook a rig of mine in the edge when it was low 30s and swam off almost like that. Ta-da.
Yeah.
So years later, when I caught it, and it's bizarre that I can't remember the exact weight, 42, 44 pounds, something like that. But when that went in the net, I was absolutely blown away, because it's such a great looking fish. And I'd caught up with it in the end.
Nice. But
Yeah.
So are you a purely carp fisher, or do you do a bit of like, pike fishing in the winter time or anything like that? Or
Pike. I mean, my personal best pike is £27.
yeah, wow.
I've had a 25, a 21, blah blah. This is a long time ago. I fished a pit in Staines called Marco's Pit when I was about 20 years old. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But no, come the autumn, winter, I generally get together with Michael, Matty, or another friend of mine, Paul Worston-Crop, and we'll go down the Kennet, the Test, Grayling, Chubb. You know, that just the morning's trotting is more exhausting than 3 days carp fishing because you're working and you are literally concentrating. Barry Hearn, I do a lot of trotting, grayling fishing with Terry's dad Barry. So not. I mean, 90% of my fishing is carp fishing because I absolutely love it. But yeah, I do diversify in the autumn, stroke winter. When the fishing's a little bit slower, and it's nice to have a day out with your mates as well, having fun, laughing about brown trout leaping all over the place when you're actually trying to catch grayling.
Yeah.
So not purely carp.
Yeah. So what would be your dream session on any lake with any angler?
Well, this would be a dream session that I hadn't yet lived. Yeah.
If you
Is that what we're talking about?
It'll count.
Christ, I fished with Danny years ago. We done a thinking tackle on Frimley, and we both had £30 fish. The day before we arrived, I had Charlie's mate on a zig, biggest fish in the lake, and because they arrived the morning after the day before, they missed that on the film. That was a great trip. Not because I didn't catch a 40-pounder on film, because Danny's quite misunderstood. To spend time with Danny, he's really quite a serious person on film. He is such a good laugh. My personality does just pour out in the fact that I like taking the mick out of people. I like having a giggle, and I like trying to make people laugh. I managed to have a Danny Fairbrass, and Ali was there, and that was a great trip, a great filming trip. Yeah. You know, I've had many a trip with many, many, many people that you would know. But yeah, that sticks out in my mind. A trip so many years ago with Danny. You know, he was young in the trade. I was very young in the trade, but we enjoyed ourselves, and he's done far better than I have, I've got to say, but we've done okay in our respective roles. So yeah, fishing with Danny was quite a big thing for me.
Oh, good. So, talking about like filming and things, have you got any good behind the scenes stories from Carp Wars?
Mate, I had such good fun in Carp Wars. Dave Levy, behind, the banter off screen couldn't be repeated. Yeah. Ting Tong, God rest his soul, my brother who's up there now. Lots. I mean, Moza, me and him, we didn't ever come to blows, put it that way, but I think a couple of times it come quite close. Yeah. Because, he's pushing the boundaries a little bit. Nothing that comes to mind that I could repeat, but we had Carp Wars. I think it's such a shame. Yeah. Is one, actually, there is one. Right, on the first set of Carp Wars, Harry Pratt was the wild card. Yeah. And I fished on a lake in Kent against Jerry Hammond. Yeah. And they left during the night. I caught 2 fish. Now, Paul Cooper, who was the director. This does drag on a tiny little bit. I do apologise, Dean. Paul Cooper was the director, production bloke, and he was my, let's call it runner. He's my score sheet bloke. Yeah. So he left 2 fish off my sheet in the night. So in the morning, when Jerry was beating me by £3, I needed my lifeline of an extra hour. Yeah. Right. So stick that in the bank and I'll come back to that. When I fished against Harry Pratt, I ran out of time and he beat me, which was great because Harry Pratt is a phenomenal angler. And who knows whether I'd have caught him up or not? Probably, likely not. But an extra hour is a long time when the fish turn up on you. Yeah. And I never found this out till I watched it on the telly. Right. When I watched my match back against Jerry Hammond, it was like, hang on, because I kept score sheets on this. Yeah. I thought, hang on. That ain't right. I had two 11 and 12-pound fish in the night, which meant I could have kept that hour. And who knows? I won the second series, and I made a graph for the second series. So every single fish, nothing was missed because I felt rather cheated. But when just before the second series, Paul rang me up, and I'm on the motor with the M25, and he said, "Ian, doing another series. Do you want involved?" The air went blue. I said, "No." Basically, I said, "No. You cheated me out the first one, Paul. And Paul is a mate of mine, so we cleared the air. You cheated me out the first, possibly cheated me out the first series. Poke it." Well, then he said, "Well, if you don't go into it, this person's going to go into it. It's someone neither of us really wanted in it." So I said, All right, then I'll do it. And I kept a graph from that right down to me and Mozza in the final, so nothing was missing. And yeah, I won the second series. But it's a shame they stopped that, because that is a really great. You know, all the competitors were from different brands.
Yeah.
We all knew each other to a degree. We all got on and had a bit of banter. But yeah, I loved it. But there you go, behind the scenes stuff. There you go, mate.
Well, I look at like what Matt Hayes has really recently done with the rod race and raised all that money to bring it back. And but could we do something like that to get it back? You know, bring back Carp Wars, because it was the best.
Well, maybe. I mean, Mozza tried it with Fish Against Mozza or whatever it was with Fox, which is a great idea. But I do think if you had someone from all the different brands, it just made the banter a little bit better than rather than just strictly a load of mates from Fox or from Calder or from ESP or whatever. Because it was someone from different brands, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. And the competitive edge. I am the most competitive person on God's earth, I promise you.
Yeah.
When someone pushes a button, I just do not stop. I do not sleep until it's over. Even at my age, we had a match the other week against a very, very good friend of mine called Derek Ritchie.
Yeah.
Uncle Derek.
Yeah.
At Welford Pools, and it is meant to be. Well, it's meant to be fun. It is fun, but I can't switch off. 3 in the morning, I'm changing rigs, I'm changing areas, I'm tying, and I ended up with 6 or 7 fish to Derek's 1. But I just could not stop. I am so aggressive with it that sometimes it becomes unenjoyable in the duration of it, and then when you've won, woo, you're triumphant, aren't you? But yeah, someone should pick Carp Wars up, because I think it's a brilliant. And when I used to do the shows, Dean, with Avid, I mean, I'm talking about in Holland, in France, in Belgium, most of the people would come up and say, we watched Carp Wars. It was brilliant. These are European anglers as well, like, you know. So it was a fantastic journey to be on. So yeah, there's someone hear it now. Someone needs to bring it back.
Yeah, hopefully someone can make it happen.
Yeah.
Right, so when you arrive at a venue, maybe somewhere you've never fished before or a typical venue, how do you decide on your baiting approach?
Right, I like this question in the respect that quite a lot of the venues I visit, bear in mind with Total Carp or with tutorial clients, I've never visited. Like Welford Pools, I've never been there. Not an overly challenging venue, but you've still got to get it right to catch 6 or 7 fish opposed to 1. Baiting strategy, well, I mean, the best way to start, the last couple of years, I've got to say solid bags has almost dominated my angling when necessary. So it would be, if I knew the venue, which isn't the question, I would definitely have a road planned before I even got there. But not knowing the venue, I'd start with solid bags or single Ronnies with little bags of pellet on and aim for where fish are possibly showing, and then you can build upon that. A great saying I learned years ago from Ronnie Buss, he got a surrogate father to me, Ron, was you can always put it in, you won't be dragging it back out again, can't you? So don't overdo it. Yeah. So either singles or solid bags is such a great way of fishing, and it's still something I don't see that often on the banks. Spooner does it all the time. They are. Me and Spooner will have a solid bag trip. Yeah. But yeah, certainly start with either a zig, a single hook bait, or a little solid bag.
Yeah. I reckon on the next Friendly Carper social, we'll have to get you and Spooner down for a little bit of a fish off.
Yeah, mate. Well, listen, if you invite me and I can make it, I'll be there.
Oh, right.
100%.
Yeah. Nice one. So you've got one rig on each different type of lake bed. What would you go with?
Right, we've almost covered this in the previous question. So, Ronnie, for years, Steve Cliff, what we call the Apache, I fished with him years ago. This was before all this spinner Ronnie come about publicly. Yeah. I fished with Steve a lot at Linear, and he was showing me this little. It was just a variation. I see it as a variation of the 360 rig, but a safer version of it. My opinion entirely, not anyone else's. So for years, I've used what they now call the Ronnie spinner. Yeah, Dean, literally for a standalone or over put the solid bag aside for a minute, for a standalone pop-up rig or even a bottom bait rig, it seriously takes some beating. It's a reset rig. It spins round. It's just, I mean, I've caught thousands of carp on this rig, and it was very when I started doing the solid bags, I was putting really short braided hook links with a Ronnie on the end in the solid bag, because my confidence in a Ronnie is just is off the scale. So that would be you've said about lake beds. So right, if I didn't know where I was casting, it would very likely be a solid bag rig. possibly with a Ronnie in it, if not a wafter. If it was over a silty area, and I don't want to change that, I've used Ronnies on 2-foot soft booms. You know, so if the lead's, when I fished a lake called Langman's, the lead would bury in. You'd have to almost test curve to get you out again, but the hook link would then sit on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay, on hard gravel, a fluorocarbon boom, or you would have to stick a bottom bait on your Ronnie. It just, for every situation, it works.
Yeah.
And that sounds boring, and it is boring to most people. But when you're fishing next to people, you're getting bite after bite after bite, and people come up and ask what you're doing. Not everyone's cup of tea, but certainly mine. And the lads I fish with, who are very learned carp anglers, are all in the same ilk.
Yeah.
Little solid bag or a Ronnie, really, and that's it. You know.
Yeah, I do love a Ronnie myself. The last social I was on, I had 15 carp out, and the vast majority of them Ronnies.
I ain't going on social with you. You catch too many.
No, that was a one-off.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
So, why do you feel that watercraft cannot be taught?
I'll tell you why. Because I think you learn it yourself. Yeah. Because so many situations, you know, I can sit with you as someone who's fished for 2 years, and I can show you how to cast, how to feel a lead down, how to tie a rig, how to apply bait, but I can't. That inner sense, you have to build on it. Oh, you have to nurture it over the years. You know, I've sat with some of my mates who are really good anglers, and all of a sudden I'll pick up a rod, reel it in, stick a bag on, over there, boom, and 10 minutes later get a fish. Yeah. And they'll say to me, what made you do that? I don't know, I thought I saw something, I just felt that's where it is. I don't think it can be taught. No. It definitely comes. I mean, other people might feel differently, Dean. I do believe it's something that grows within you.
Yeah. Experience.
Craft grows within you. Yeah. You can pay to fish with someone like me, Mozo, anyone else like that who does tutorials, young Tommy Maker. We can only bring you to a certain level.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, you've got to retain the information to stay at that level. But no, I don't think watercraft is something I'm going to be teaching anybody. No. Try, but you know, it's another sense within you, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, when you're not seeing them, you almost get to feel where they are. You know, it's not something like we're samurais or anything with an inner, but you walk around a lake and you'll just sense sometimes they are here just because you're not seeing them. I sort of know they're here, like, you know, one bubble, little bit of wind in a corner, something moves an inch under the surface. Yeah. You pick it, you tune into them tiny little movements and sightings, and you go on them. It's not all about people walking around a lake and seeing a 20-pounder go, woo, bosh. Yeah. Apply, you know, Stevie Wonder would see that, wouldn't he? Well, he'd hear it. But so no, I'm harping on there, but I really don't think it can be taught. You learn it yourself over the years.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of the things you can just pick up.
Yeah.
Through experience.
Yeah.
So, what tip would you give to an angler that's new to the sport?
Keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes open. You know, keep your options open and your eyes open. Always keep looking. No, I can't give you an example, and nor could you to me. The amount of times you've sat in a swim, nothing going on, and you see one over there, 200 yards away, barrels loaded, get round there, flick one out, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes open. Do not. When I was a youngster, I used to fish an awful lot of matches, seat box matches, and I learned then always take the chance, because 20 minutes later you might regret it, but it might pay off. And if you haven't taken the chance, I'll say you regret it, but it does pay off. You've got a bonus fish, and if it doesn't, you go back to what you were doing anyway.
Yeah.
You know, you've lost nothing other than 20 minutes, but always take the chance, keep your eyes peeled, and move on it. Yeah. You know, I'll give you. I'm looking at a fish on the wall here, a picture in my dining room of a 45-pound common from Raysbury. Now I set up in a swim called the Runway, which is a long way around the lake, and I'm sitting there with my mate. I've put a whole bucket of bait. I've got 2 nights ahead of me, but I'm watching over the far side round it in a swim called the Diving Ball, which is one of my favourite pegs. A long range swim, deep water. One showed, then another. After 10 shows, I said to my mate Martin, I know I've got to move, Dean. I know I've got to move, but I've just put a whole bucket out there for 48 hours, and everything's set up nicely. I've made a little home. And I said to Martin, one more fish, and I've got Bosch. So that was me. I said to him, reel my rods in. I'm going to run around with a bucket. I moved around there within the hour. One single hook bait, a monster tiger nut pop up. In the area I'd seen the fish. Before I'd got the other stuff sorted, 45-pound small tail common. So always, it won't always pay off for you.
No.
But most of the time I found it does.
Yeah.
Work hard, keep your eyes open.
Yeah, prepared to wait for it. Yeah. Right. So, do you prefer to go and match the hatch, or do you like to fish like a bright coloured bait compared to the free offerings?
Most of the time, I would say it's brighter offerings because I do like some. I'm a firm believer in curiosity killed the cat. So a carp is a very curious creature, and I think a white, a pink, a yellow, a red stands out over a bed of boilie.
Yeah.
And generally, if I've done this in where it's visible, that will almost go almost be one of the first things that will go.
Yeah.
So that is my, and if I feel it isn't, I'll stick a boilie on a bottom bait, the same as. But no, I'd rather go with something not necessarily fluoro, a pale hook bait, a pale pink, a pale yellow, but definitely that's my line of attack.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So now when you do your tutorials, what would you say is the most common mistake you see people making?
Right, there's two things I'm going to talk about here. The first is most people rip a lid off a bucket, throw the whole lot in, not really taking into account. These are mostly day ticket people that what the person who's just left that swim might have also put in.
Yeah.
So again, that drops us back to a previous question about how you would approach a peg, lightly, slowly but sure. But the most often question I'm asked is how to fill the lead down.
Yeah.
How to know what type of lake bed you're fishing on. And that is the bit that, I mean, it's easy for me and it's probably easy for you, Dean, because you go fishing and you're obviously a very accomplished carp angler, sir. But it's so to demo it's so easy because it's like an extension of your arm. But trying to get that through to some people can be quite difficult. Same as me not knowing about computers that well. Yeah. An expert would sit next to me and go la 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 la, and it's second nature to them. So yeah, feeding a lead down is something that I don't struggle to pass on to people, but some people struggle to take it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's the strangest bait or most weirdest thing you've put on the end of your hook before?
Right. This was I know exactly what I'm going to say to you, and it wasn't. I was on this is a long time ago. I was carp fishing, but there was a big shoal of quite big rudd kept going along the margin.
Yeah.
And I ended up putting a bit of bread on I had a ham and beetroot sandwich, right?
Yeah.
God's truth. This is still my PB rub. They wouldn't touch the bread. So I was laughing and joking with again one of my mates. I said, here we go. A little sliver of beetroot. Float went under, 2 pound, 1 ounce rudd.
Yeah.
That has got to be I mean, years ago, when I first started carp fishing, without realising the journey it was going to take me on, it was garden peas and processed peas.
Yeah.
This was prior to, this was when I was 12, 13 down on a lake in Colbrook called the Tench Pit, ironically enough, but it was full of carp up to about 10 pounds, years before any hair rig was even thought of. And I'd have a big hook, either a coffin lead or a float, and 2 sort of marrowfat peas pushed around the hook.
Yeah.
Mate, you would catch carp all day long.
Yeah.
It's funny enough because this question before has come up in circles of us sitting on the bank, and quite a few people of my age, my era, have done the same thing with. You've tried everything. There was chickpeas, which aren't so unusual, but garden peas extremely unusual.
Yeah. So
why not?
What would be your top supermarket baits, and if you had to only fish supermarket baits in the next session, would you go for?
It's an obvious answer. It would be sweet corn.
Yeah.
Has to be sweet corn. Yes. 100,000,000%. Difficult to present.
Yeah.
But there are ways around it, as we know. But sweet corn, if I had to pick a second one, it would be luncheon meat with a bit of pepper army on the rig. But sweet corn would be my all-time no. Dynamite, when I email Dynamite, I think that they go, oh, not again. Yeah. How many tins of sweet corn this time? I use more sweet corn in my angling than any boilie ever nowadays. So it just leans itself into the day ticket venues that I target. With customers, with magazines, with filming, the golden grains seem to catch wherever you go.
Yeah. So is anything you feel you do differently to others that give you an advantage? Maybe don't want to give away secrets or anything, but
what are you on about with bait or just in angling?
In general, with your fishing.
With fish, I've sat behind some exceptional Andy Finley, exceptional match anglers, and I'll tell you what. The bit that makes the difference is the bit you never notice.
Yeah.
If that makes sense at all.
Yeah.
Like I said to you earlier, there's bits you can't pass on to people that you feel through your rod or you clock with your eye and you make a small adjustment. So I don't know. I mean, again, you can't pass it on.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So there's things I'm very quick to react. I'm not frightened to change things. Those are the things that definitely make me a better angler than some. Not all. You know, I drive my mates bonkers. Even when I fish the 80 North Lake, I'd say to my mate Keith, that's done. That's me done for the night. I ain't touching them now. Now, he knew damn well within half hour I'd be moving one of them rods.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you the better angler. You're willing to take that chance, and you've noticed a tiny little bit. So again, always take the chance, keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, I just work. I drive people mad when I film with Rich Stewart. Obviously, if you've ever filmed with fishing, this is typography, and I love Rich Stewart and Elliot, but I move in the drop of a hat. Boom, I'm gone. Yeah. It's like, no, come back here. Don't reel it in. We've got to film you reeling it in. We've got to film you putting it on your barra. And I'm saying to Rich, I've got a window here that might shut in 2 minutes. I need to be over there. So the bit that makes me different than a lot of others, which wasn't your initial question, is I just, boom, effort. Massive word, effort. Biggest word in it.
Yeah, good. So, what is your carp inspiration, carp's inspiration, or what inspires you or inspired you first?
As a younger angler, I've got to say, he's an old chap now, and I mentioned him earlier, but my inspirations was working with Len Gerd, God rest his soul, on Clean River Productions, same as where Matt Hayes worked with him, and fishing alongside the likes of Ronnie Buss. They were my inspiration. There's always, on every lake, at any time of day, and I know you can only be in one place at a time, Dean, but there's always a bite to be had. Yeah. You've just got to busy yourself to try, and you can't always find it, but a lot of the time, if you're looking, you can find it. And Ronnie Buss taught me that. You know, Derek from a little bit of an older age, Derek Ritchie was the same. These guys were catching big numbers of good fish when there wasn't really big numbers of good fish about. Yeah. They put the extra mile in. So yeah, Ronnie Buss has been a massive inspiration on my whole fishing career, if you like, and working with Len. Len was a cameraman that was a phenomenal carp angler, phenomenal angler. Yeah. So he would put himself in a position when he felt something was going to happen. Again, you're getting back to that extra sense. You know, the times he walked into my peg, even on Fox Pool when we filmed there, put the camera up, turned it on, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Just, I don't know." And then the bobbin would go crack, boop. So they're my biggest inspirations was Len Gerd and Ronnie Buss. Yeah.
So as we're talking now, you know, the seasons are sort of changing. You know, autumn's definitely on the way, and winter's not far off. So, what's your sort of tips for anglers on the bank to keep warm, but you know, in a safe way without using potentially dangerous cash eaters or like
that? I mean, I say this to a lot of people. They're my friends. If you're cold, okay, and wet on the lakeside or fishing now, you're foolish without sounding rude, because there's so much good clothing out there and warm clothing and you know, waterproof bivvies. It's come on. When I started fishing at Staines Common with Debbie, who was sitting in the other room when we were late teenagers, we had a little A-frame tent, a plastic sheet over it, and a what would now be an Argos sleeping bag. You know, you were cold, you were damp. Now, if you haven't got, I'm not going to mention any brands, even my one, because it's not about that. If you haven't got a good sleeping bag that keeps you cool in the summer, warm in the winter, waterproof clothing, waterproof boots, then there's something wrong. Because every company does it, and most companies, if you speak to people, most companies will say that's the one and that's not the one. So that would be, don't go lighting candles in your bivvies. Don't go shutting the door with a gas burner on. We've all seen in the last year what can happen to a couple of people, and it's such tragedy. I had a friend of mine fished the Road Lake years ago. He'd had a bit too much to drink. He lit a candle on top of a spool of line. Yeah. It melted down, set fire to the line, and you had to be dragged out. You know, what was left of his brolly in the morning was just the spokes, which sounds rather amusing if you saw it on a comedy act. But what could have happened? Yeah, exactly. You know, so don't shut the door with a cooker. Do not light candles and shut the door. Get extra clothing and warm and dry clothing and footwear. We'll get through the winter. You know, no excuses. No excuses.
Yeah. So this is the final question. What is your sort of bankside guilty pleasure? It could be favourite biscuits or an episode of some cheesy TV program you might like to watch that we don't want anyone to know about.
No, I don't watch TV on the bank. That doesn't mean I'm boring because I've only got a little phone.
No,
but quite obviously when it gets dark, we all do a bit of that, don't we? A bit of Facebook and a bit of Instagram. Yeah. It's part of my job. But other than that, if we're talking about cuisine, like snacks, it would have to be red Leicester cheddars.
Yeah.
If you ain't tried them, Dean, I'll bring you some down when I see you.
Yeah.
Biscuit wise, malted milk, the ones with the little cows on.
Yeah, yeah.
They are, and I see so many anglers I'll ask that question because it's fun, and they've got them there. There used to be custard creams, not anymore. They're last year.
Yeah.
The malted milk biscuits and red Leicester cheddars, mate. Can't beat them.
Well, if you come down and you bring me some red Leicester cheddars,
I'll bring you 6 packets because they come in a big bulk packet, don't they?
Yeah.
That's all. You're game on for that. We'll have to share them though.
That's all right. I'm sure I can do one too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, 5 for you, 1 for me.
Right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Ian. Really appreciate it. Now, if anyone did want to book a tutorial with you, how would they get in touch to do that?
Grab me on Instagram or Facebook and message me, basically. I don't give my number out on things like this, but if you Instagram me, and we'll fit you in.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Right. So, thank you very much, and catch you again soon. Hopefully we'll get that
Dean,
on the bank.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
Thank you very much. Right.